Thank you for that, Dr. Jim. So for those of you that are now just joining or watching the kind of full conversation with Dr. Jim and I regarding essential oils, welcome. If you kind of want to have a quick fire, what are essential oils? What are a couple of good essential oils you can keep at home and how they work at a very basic level? Do check out our other shorter videos that cover that. Links for that will be in the video description, so you have a basis. But really want to have a conversation now in a slightly longer form. So no more than 10, 15, 20 minutes maximum, depending on how the conversation goes. With Dr. Jim, extremely knowledgeable in terms of original medicine and natural health about essential oils. So for those of you that want to go a little deeper, that want to know a little more, and just be exposed to that knowledge in a slightly greater way. So, Dr. Jim, we've spoken, for those that have watched our videos and our conversations before, we've spoken about the original medicine approach, which is different to many other systems of medicine, of health. But maybe you could just tell us, where do essential oils fit into this framework of original medicine? What role do they play? What piece in the home of original medicine do they have?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And in terms of original medicine is basically getting down to you know what does nature provide, and all essential oils are natural in their concentrated in their non-isolated form. So there's a whole host of chemicals in there, but they're phytochemicals. These are concentration of chemicals in the plants that are in these different areas, in the root, et cetera, et cetera. When they're extracted and in their concentrated form, they have a very, very powerful effect on dealing with the causes and contributing factors to a whole host of health issues. So, you can come up with a lot of name things, but it helps with getting rid of infection and inflammation, helping you with, as I said, with the sleep cycle earlier. So it has, quote, a medicinal effect, but it does it in a very natural way. The problem is when you take essential oils or any herb and you go after the active ingredients and try to isolate it. Now, from an original medicine standpoint, not only are those active ingredients in there, but there's also those other balancers in there that basically keep it from going too high or too low, adaptogens, if you will. And yeah, even though you can use those things in isolated form, if they're unbridled, it can actually worsen a health issue. So, the body works within these narrow bandwidths. And if, as long as you're in there, you're enjoying health and vitality, but you start going too high or too low, then you're getting into a whole host of other circumstances. So from an original medicine standpoint, these are the things that God provided us, the original designer of our system. And these are the medicines, if you will, using the common vernacular, for dealing with health issues. So before sin, you didn't need any of this. Our bodies were designed to go on forever. But now that our body is working within certain constructs, we need things to keep us in balance. And the original medicine is basically those plants that God provided, those manufacturing facilities for these chemicals. So for example, if you want to build a car, you go to a plant and they have all these different parts. The thing about essential oils, much like herbs, what they really are, when you get right down to it, is a concentration of certain things that are in food, that are in apples, oranges, peaches, pears, kale, etc. But when you eat it, you're getting it in a less concentrated form. When you get with herbs and essential oils, you get in concentration of certain nutrients, especially certain minerals that have an affinity for certain organs. So certain organs need more manganese. For example, you can't even have life without manganese. Children under 12 years old don't have the ability, they don't have a strong enough system to extract the manganese from the food. It's there. And as they get older, now that manganese supports the reproductive system. There's certain things, I'll give you a perfect example that you might consider a poison, arsenic. But one of the most important chemicals, phytochemicals for the heart is arsenic, but in a bioavailable form, not in an isolated form. So when you get arsenic in a food base, then it has all those other adaptogens, all those other things that balances its use to keep. And the same thing with essential oils. People are more familiar with herbs, but essential oils, they're also different kinds of actions with the plant. And as I said, that they normally are entering through the olfactory system. You get those smells like the lemon balm and the lavenders, and people that, you can bathe with it. It's the aromatic. I mean, you can just sit back there and relax. Peppermint is a good example. It opens up the respiratory. You can breathe better. It's part of my COVID remedy. So peppermint oil, it also is very good for improving the function integrity of the digestive system. So not only are they powerful and can be organ specific in terms of its value, but it's also system wide. And as you know, a chain is no stronger than its weakest link. So you do something to promote the function integrity of this, it's having a ripple effect through the whole body. You try to hurt your pinky toe and think you can isolate that from your mood, your function, your state of mind, etc. But you take care of that pinky toe, and all of a sudden, everything is better. And so that is those are the analogies I'd like to share with you to kind of emphasize the power of these essential oils. And like anything else, if you use them properly, it has very powerful effects. These are proven. One of our courses is called Essential Oils, and that, universally, the feedback is 100% positive. People have these ideas, but when you start understanding the breadth and the depth of the essential oils, it's inspiring. It's uplifting. And it basically empowers our value students with this whole area of health and vitality that nobody speaks of. You might have heard of some of these more common ones, but there are many essential oils. And this is not, essential oils aren't my expertise. I'm a supporter of it. I lead usually with herbs, except for some of the more common ones. I know that jojoba oil helps with the hair growth and functional integrity, and cleaning out those clogged up roots and providing the minerals you need, the copper, those essential trace minerals that enhances hair growth, for example. So it has all of these different kinds of effects in a very concentrated form. If you notice, most of those essential oils, they come in a little tiny thing, a little tiny skinny bottle. They're very, very powerful. You don't see big 12-ounce, 32-ounce bottles. And so it basically it basically demonstrates how just a small amount is all your body needs. If it's the right thing, you don't need a railroad spike to put a picture on the wall. A thumbtack will do. And that's the way I look at essential oils. It's that thumbtack that holds things together in the right place without destroying the function and integrity of that wall behind it. And it's only enhancing the overall environment. Does that make sense? Or
that's very
you want to
clear,
drill down on that some more?
No, very clear. I think the question I had as you were talking that came to mind is really looking at it from the sense of, you mentioned earlier isolating active compounds, and my understanding is that's how the traditional drug industry works. They extract the active compounds from nature, and that's how the basis of pharmaceuticals works. But for somebody who is new to using essential oils, what can their expectations be in terms of how quickly they can start to see results with essential oils because it's the active
Yeah.
compound isn't extracted, and how should they approach using essential oils, as an alternative to more traditional pharmaceuticals?
Well, like anything else, I recommend people work with a qualified professional, and that's normally not a doctor. If you talk to doctors, say, well, there might be some research shows that they can be helpful, but then you ask them the question, well, tell me how much how much did you study this in school? Nothing. So they're not equipped and qualified in the area. But just like if you want to fix your car, you don't go to a baker. You don't go to a plumber. You go to somebody who understands the car. So if you work with a qualified practitioner of essential oils, not only do they work powerfully by themselves, but they also, when you combine them right, it has a very powerful synergistic effect, and it's immediate. It's almost like if you're having a respiratory problem or a heart problem, you take nitroglycerin, it works in seconds. Essential oils works in seconds. You diffuse a little bit of that peppermint oil, or you put a little bit of tea tree oil on it. In fact, it's a very powerful antibiotic without any of the side effects. It's not only providing the intended effect, but it's also maintaining the integrity of the infrastructure. So you got this, they're very powerful, very fast. Peppermint oil, I mean, just a drop of it, and it immediately helps with gastrointestinal problems. And you take a little sniff of it, and you put a little bit in that, like I said, that flu bomb that I use. I mean, as soon as you take that first hit, you can feel you want to stand up at attention and salute, because it opens up those lungs. So it's very powerful. It can be very immediate, and just like anything else, depending upon how they're put together and the integrity. See, that's the other thing that, there's two things that one should keep in mind in terms of essential oils. Just like food, it's not what you can just eat, but what you can assimilate. And the point I want to make is integrity. What is the integrity of sourcing? And what's closely related to that is the processing. So if you go through, if that extraction process is compromised, and you're mixing up a whole bunch of other things in it, and the purity isn't there, then you can have problems. But if you're getting it from an integrous source and it's an integrous process, getting back to your original question, you can have very, very powerful both short-term and long-term effects. And the long-term effects is in terms of the integrity of that short-term, where it's getting right down to the cause and the contributing factor. So you're not dealing with a symptom that is basically, if you have this faucet going over here and you just mopping, yeah, it'll dry. But if you got this going, you're going to continue mopping. But if at the same time you're mopping over here and you're turning off the faucet ever so slowly, pretty soon you don't need to be drying up over here. And so that's the value of not isolating those powerful things, because then you have all of these other things that enhance rather than mitigate or take it to an area where something that's good can actually turn to be your worst enemy. So that might be a long drawn out way of putting it, but you asked the question, how effective is it? How quick does it take to react? And in some instances, you're talking about seconds. And in other instances, and this is where you want to be in the hands of a qualified practitioner, you don't want things to happen very quickly sometimes, because it can be overwhelming to the system. So sometimes you want that process, you want to do it in a very thoughtful, a very rational fashion, and you might want to spread that over a period of time. Even when Jesus fasted, he didn't fast for 15 minutes. He fasted for 40 days. So in order to get to the process where he needed to be at his absolutely best, physically, mentally, and spiritually, it took him 40 days. You need to think of the same thing in terms of herbs, in terms of essential oils. You want to, and this is where working with a qualified practitioner who, and let me just bring up the other factor. You need to honor individual requirements and capacities. So you need to look at what that person's individual circumstances are. And if they have to be working with heavy equipment, this, that, and the other thing, you might want to proceed a little bit differently than somebody who can just be kind of sedentary or sitting in a hammock reading a nice novel or something like that. So you need to look at, so it is not unifactorial. And that's where I tend to take issue with certain practitioners, even in my own field, where they want to do a one size fits all. So you throw this diet at everybody, or this herb at everybody, or this essential oil, or in terms of medicine, this thing, and maybe you might make a little adjustment in terms of dosage for weight and things like that. But it's basically not honoring this broader individual requirements and capacities. And so don't get me started, because then you're going to have me drift over into RBTI, which is a whole nother thing, which helps that practitioner to understand what your individual requirements are, what your individual capacities are, and to in a very intelligent and rational way use it with folks. So if you're in a wellness center, you can take more liberties because you can act more quickly than you have somebody who you're talking to remotely, maybe even in another time zone, in another continent, and they go off, and then there's not that ability to make corrective actions. I don't know if I steered into an area beyond your question, but I just wanted to kind of have people understand that these things aren't something that you want to go at without having some understanding of its power. These have power, and power can hurt you. Water is good for you, but you get caught in a tidal wave, it can hurt you. So water is important. It's very helpful. Essential oils are very important. They can make a very good contribution, but you need to proceed in a very thoughtful, rational way, having some basic understanding. And that's not for all of them. Almost anybody, they even put peppermint in candy. So, some of the more common ones like ginger, peppermint, cardamom, some of those, you can take a lot more liberties. But as you start getting into that healing thing, and then you start getting into people's different chemistries and biologies, you need to exercise care in terms of using these essential oils. And if you're going to spend the money, spend it wisely. It's better to go to an integrity source. I'm not going to promote any companies, but there are one or two companies that are particularly good at and have a reputation for their processing, extraction integrity. They're combining and with the research and the studies and knowing how to apply it for a broad spectrum of health and illness issues. So you can actually use oils essential oils. You don't need them just for issues. It basically you can use it as maintenance and taking you to higher ground. So that's the That's the beauty and that's the richness of it. And I recommend just anybody, like I said, that course that we have, it sounds like, oh, okay, let me, what is more than 10, 15, 20, it's over 100 pages. There's some rich, there's a lot of depth and breadth and what they are. And that's when they go into the chemistry. I mean, it goes into more detail than you need, but it goes into a lot that says, whoa, this isn't just foo-foo dust. There's a lot of good substance and science and richness in terms of both breadth and depth, and what essential oils can do to contribute to overall health and vitality.
Dr. Jim, that's wonderful. Thank you for being with us as we've kind of dived a little deeper into essential oils. I hope that has kind of opened up your mind if you're kind of watching this video or you're coming across this series of videos. So if you're interested in learning more, please do visit our website, iiomonline.org. You'll be able to see our curriculum and select different classes, and even the one that Dr. Jim has mentioned today on essential oils. We have a series of programs all the way from certificate level all the way up to PhD. So we've really got you covered in terms of whatever your level you want to go in at in terms of depth. But we hope you've enjoyed the session today on essential oils. All the links that mentioned in terms of the school will be in the video description. We hope you'll join us next time when we have another conversation with Dr. Jim. Thank you, Dr. Jim.
Okay, you're quite welcome. Bye for now. God bless.